Hey, there it's me Eden. If you are new to the channel then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks. We visited some Friday classes with Julie, and Karen escorted us to a math course that her dad taught. Admissions counselors visited with us, gave us advice, and tried their mightiest to get us to sign on the dotted line. We were honest and said that Westview was our second choice, since we were hoping to do more specialized studies at the university than a small college offered. Mom Holding met us at lunch, in the college union. Julie and Karen, along with their friends, griped good-naturedly about the food, but Sarah Beth and I thought it was great compared to Fort Russell High and Hope Haven. At 3:30, Julie and Karen took us with them to basketball practice. Mind your manners, Julie whispered as we walked into the locker room. I know. Don't ogle, I whispered back. It was difficult since the room was full of tall, athletic young women in various stages of undress. I was pushing Sarah Beth in her chair, and she glanced back at me a few times to make sure I was acting innocent. Only once or twice did she reach back to swat my knuckles, as different teammates came by and introduced themselves. We went out to the gym and just relaxed while the team went through a light workout, just to stay loose. If we had lost last night, Julie mentioned during a break, it wouldn't have been anywhere near this light. We stopped at a gourmet burger place for supper, then went back to the dorm. Julie took Sarah Beth back to their room, and Karen announced that she was going to help me with my costume in our guest room. So what am I going to be? I asked. I was relatively sure that I wouldn't have to strip, or Julie wouldn't have let Karen help me. You'll find out, she teased. She asked me to take off my slacks, blouse, and pantyhose, and gave me a pair of white knee-length socks and a pair of shiny black shoes with a low heel and a wide strap. Mary Jane's, she called them. They looked like little girls' shoes, but were a little large on my feet. I slipped into the bathroom to change and to make sure that I still looked girlish in my undies. When I came out, Karen just smiled, bent over, and rolled down the tops of my socks. Then she reached into the closet and pulled out this huge, short orange dress. It, too, was obviously a little girl's style, with white rolled cuffs and a white collar. So, they wanted me to dress as a little girl. I didn't see what was so special. Karen beamed at the effect. It is too bad that your hair isn't a little more reddish-orange, or we wouldn't need a wig, she said, as she started to stretch a nylon net over my own wig. Wait a minute, I said. If you have another wig for me to wear, I can just take this one off. Did Julie told you how I shaved my head when Sarah Beth lost her hair to chemotherapy? I asked, lifting my wig off. So far, it's just grown back into this cute little boyish buzz cut. Karen clapped her hands in delight. Oh, that looks so cute on you. And you don't look boyish at all. Yet another compliment to make me feel strange. If you didn't wear your wig, though, people might think we were twins, she teased, touching her own closely cropped hair. The wig she placed on my head was a lot like the one I had been wearing, but it was a bright orange red. It reminded me of the color of Lucille Ball's hair on those Nick at Night reruns, but in a more little girlish style. Karen invited me to look in the full-length mirror. Now do you know who you are? She asked. It looks familiar, but I'm not sure I can place it, I admitted. You are Annie, she declaimed with real authority. Of course, I'm Annie, I said, Annie Jansen. And now you are Annie, as in Little Orphan Annie. If only we could have gotten some white contact lenses so people could only see the whites of your eyes, she said. Then I realized. I had seen a video of the musical Annie when I was a kid, maybe in 5th grade. Mom and Dad told me that it was based on a comic strip that was popular a long time ago. Duh, I said. Karen, forgive me for being so dense. Now I get it, Annie. And I'm Annie. You and Julie said it would be appropriate, and it is. I love it, I really do. So how did you get a costume like this? Little girl styles don't usually come this size, do they? Honey, I brought the cloth and made it myself. Since Julie told me that you and she were the same size, she had to model it for me as I made it. You should have seen her. That brought a laugh from me. But what about Sarah Beth? Is she dressed in something that relates to this? I asked. Let's go find out. She should be ready. I followed Karen as she started down the hall. Some of the other women athletes were already getting dressed in their costumes, so I didn't feel too embarrassed at the giggles and pointing, and remarks of how darling I looked. My mouth dropped as I stepped into Julie's room. Sarah Beth was standing, using the kind of cane that dancers use with top hats. Starting at the bottom, she had shoes with big yellow spats, striped pants, a tuxedo, a white formal shirt with a gigantic fake diamond stickpin, and no hair at all. My shy Sarah was now the world's shortest Daddy Warbucks, to go with the world's tallest little orphan Annie. I was amazed that she would be willing to go out like that, but evidently she had agreed to it back when Julie had first invited us. These are majorly sneaky women, let me tell you. Then Mom Holding came out from the bathroom with her normal clothes on, but a large yellow mascot dog head and fake paws stuck over her hands. Woof, she said. Then I remembered that Annie had a dog named Sandy. Karen and Julie didn't play to our theme. Karen looked scary in a Grim Reaper robe and scythe, and Julie had scrounged up a little Red Riding Hood outfit so I wouldn't be the only little girl at the party. The party itself, in the student union, was lots of fun and one of the big fundraisers for the Women's Athletic Scholarship Fund. Julie and Karen had brought our tickets. Unlike Halloween parties back home, where kids usually wore store-bought costumes, the college students had been more creative. One even came as a Picasso painting. Hey, I'm not that uncultured. They had prizes for best costume. Sarah and I won a little plastic trophy for second place in the best couples category. I wonder if we would have finished first if they had known that it wasn't just Sarah who crossed gender lines. Saturday was an informal day. Sarah Beth and I wore our Piglet and Tigger Westview shirts and denim skirts. She had even found a pair of Piglet earrings that matched my Tiggers. Different organizations and programs at the school had set up folding tables and tents on the quad to drum up interest, both for current students and prospective ones. Sarah Beth was tired from the day before and rode her chair most of the way. Even though we weren't really serious about Westview, it was a fun way to find out more about college life. One of the most interesting visits Sarah Beth had was with a campus activist group that focused on accessibility and rights of people with disabilities. She grabbed up some of their literature and took down a few names and addresses. Karen's family had us over for lunch. I thought it would be something African, but it was really good barbecue instead. Both Karen's parents were very tall, and I kept bending my neck back to look up at them when they talked. Afterwards, my short Sarah said, "Now you know how I feel, having to look up at people all the time." I guess that was true even when she was standing, but was even more so with her in the wheelchair. Mom Holding really seemed to enjoy the visit to the campus. A campus like this on a beautiful fall day makes me wish that I could have gone to college, she said wistfully. She and her husband had both grown up poor and went to work right after high school. Mom, Sarah Beth said, "I'll likely be away at college next year, and you'll have an empty nest. Maybe if I get a good scholarship, you can go to college, too." What? Don't be silly. I couldn't afford that, and my job keeps me plenty busy, she protested with a smile. Really, Mom Holding, I came in. You don't have to quit your job to be a part-time student. Start taking courses at Fort Russell Community College in the late afternoons, when you're usually home. Mr. Holding is out on the road enough that he doesn't need you there every day cooking, or anything. You're really smart, and I'm sure that you would enjoy it. She just smiled and said, well, maybe. But I am 40. Good excuse, Mom, Sarah Beth came in. Just tell Dad it's your midlife crisis. We changed our plans a little and went to a contemporary worship service that the campus church held on Saturday evenings, so we could leave earlier the next day and not have to change clothes. I went to church in the silky outfit that I wore Friday, although it looks like jeans and tees would have been okay there. Sunday was a beautiful day for driving through the mountains. We stopped off at the Children's Hospital and enjoyed visiting Roberta and her mom. They had come from a distant corner of the state, but Vicky said that after Roberta was released, they would move here so Roberta's health could be better monitored. That's great, Sarah Beth said. That means that if we are able to come to the university, Annie here can teach Roberta how to ride that bike we fixed for her. I just smiled and nodded. Please subscribe for the next part. And visit my Patreon page for early access.